Hey guys, Sanch here. Welcome back to another episode on the Bodybuilding News Network, specifically an episode of Bodybuilding Today. Some very sad news, as I'm sure you've seen it on Instagram. It's been reported, it's been confirmed through the coaching streams that George Double Peterson has passed away. 37 years old, coming into the Olympia. This would have been his fifth Olympia appearance, second year in the 212. A very accomplished bodybuilder. I didn't get to know him personally. I didn't have the opportunity to have him on the channel for an athlete spotlight. So I do feel some regret there and not even asking him. But he did pass away. We're not sure about the cause of the the passing, but he was found in his hotel room at the Olympia in Orlando, just not even 24 hours out from stepping on stage, or actually, stepping on stage for the press conference. So I wanted to give, and I know a lot of people have made these videos, but I wanted to kind of give you guys a little bit more of an in-depth look into George Peterson, who he is, because that's really what this channel is about, is advocating for the athletes, and in this instance, advocating for an athlete that no longer can advocate for himself and his legacy and his family members. So I'm still looking for any way that we can financially support the surviving family, the Peterson family. He does offer a plethora of training programs on his website. I'm sure you could purchase that. But without further ado, let's go ahead and talk about George Peterson. So George Double Peterson, I always like to call him that, and that's what he goes by, or went by. A New York guy, came out of the north, south, east coast mecca, out of Bev's gym, one of those legacy pieces that I'm sure if you went into that gym, you saw his pictures on the wall, you saw him training, especially outside of the pandemic. If you followed him on his Instagram, you noticed he did a lot of training in his house. He had a very nice home gym that was compact, but very effective for his ability to prep for the Olympia and prep for shows. Before getting into bodybuilding, George Peterson the third actually was a black belt in Shotokan karate. I'm not sure what variety of karate that is, but I thought that was an interesting statistic, something interesting about him that a lot of people might not have known. George Peterson's first competitive bodybuilding show was in 2008, and then rolling into his more well-known competitive history, he competed at the 2013 North American National. It's a national level show, the North Americans. And this is where he, for the most part, was the last time he really competed in bodybuilding until making his transition later in his career, although it was such a young career. 2013, fighting for that pro card, and he didn't actually come into winning his pro card until 2016. Something that's kind of a cool statistic about George that not a lot of people know is George Peterson was actually the first NPC competitor to earn his pro card in the brand new classic physique division. So he is he's always going to have that as part of his name, as part of his legacy, is that he was the first bodybuilder to transition into classic physique and win his pro card. George Peterson's first IFBB pro competition was in 2017, where he competed at the Tampa Pro. And I'll put the physiques in the background so you guys can enjoy them as much as I have putting this content together for you. And then that's where he actually, really rolling into the IFBB, winning that show, qualifying for the Mr. Olympia right out of the gate was something that George really held on to and really stuck out amongst the crowd, as well as his physique. It didn't really fit into that cookie cutter, copy paste, classic physique. No disrespect, obviously, to the other competitors. George was a bodybuilder through and through, and he made that decision early on to make that conversion, to make that cut into classic physique, because he thought that that would be something that would fit well for his physique, or something that he wanted to challenge himself with. And as history has shown us, with George's legacy, is that he was a very complete bodybuilder and a very competitive classic physique competitor. Coming into his classic physique debut, placing third, he rolled right into another off season. Once you place in that top five, I believe it is, you're qualified for the next Olympia. So George took that time off and prepped for the upcoming Olympia, the 2018 Olympia. Again, as history finds a way to repeat itself, George placed third again at the 2018 Mr. Olympia. Moving into the 2019 Mr. Olympia, again, doing very well. And then this is where he kind of started seeing a change that was present, or at least tangible for him to go to grab onto, and that was his transition to 212. He wasn't the first person to do it from classic to 212, and he definitely won't be the last person to transition from classic physique to 212. But George Peterson did so in a way that very few do, where he rolls right into the 2020 Tampa Pro and he wins his 212 debut in that 212 bodybuilding division. Again, qualifying him yet again for another Mr. Olympia, his fourth Olympia appearance. George Peterson then rolled into the 2020 Olympia. And I kind of already said it once before, but history has a funny way of maybe not always repeating itself, but echoing very loudly. And, the same stage, but in a different division, George Double Peterson places third in his first 212 Olympia appearance. And that just highlights some of the competitions that he's done. He's also an Arnold Classic champion back in 2018, and that's something that might have gotten overlooked with such a impressive resume of Olympia wins. And this would have been, like I said in the beginning, this would have been George's fifth appearance at the Olympia. He was a favorite to place in that top three again, defending that top three placing, being a multi-time bronze medalist at the Olympia is a feat that a lot of athletes would only dream of. And George Pearson was one of those guys that really showed the work, and showed up on stage proper, conditioned. He was never blown out. He always had a very beautiful physique in his own way, right? He wasn't just he wasn't like a Chris Bumstead. He wasn't like other classic physique competitors, although that he did transition to 212. He had a different flow to his physique, very wide, small waist. And it is unfortunate on my end. I never did get to know George on a personal level. I never got to have a conversation with him. But I'm sure that we will stay tuned to the other bodybuilding outlets, as we're all one family here, trying to support each other and advocate for the athletes. Stay tuned to his coach's Instagram page, Justin Miller. I'll tag it in the bio. And as always, you can stay tuned to my Instagram feed, where I have a little bit more up-to-date updates on not always things of this nature, but just content in general. I want to thank you for hanging out with me today and just talking about this and just showing our respect to George Peterson. I just wish I would have known him just a little bit better. But if you guys have any interesting or funny things that you've learned about George in his past, or just fun stories or fun facts that you know about him, genuinely, I'd like to hear about it. Comment below, or you can message me privately. Either one works, but kind of a heavy day on our hearts. Leading into this Olympia, it's going to drastically change the environment of the Olympia, in my opinion. And it's going to be challenging on my end to report on the Olympia, knowing that such a young, talented, uh, bright star in the 212 and in the IFBB in general passed away at the age of 37. So, um, again, I'll keep you guys in the loop on potential ways that you can support the legacy of George Peterson and the surviving families of his kin. But that's it, guys. Thank you so much again for watching. As always, another episode of Bodybuilding Today on the Bodybuilding News Network. I'm your host, Sanch, and all my links are in the bio, and I'll see you guys in the next one.